Okay, so I am going to walk us through this slowly. Why am I going to walk us through this slowly? Because last year, you guys did not get to equations like you were supposed to. Why? Because of COVID, and that is okay. So this year we're going to start with some 6th grade material. And you're the first class of the day, so the board never works. Okay, so what is an equation? Yes, Yuliwani, I just realized I wasn't sharing. I'm going to go ahead and share right now. But thank you. What is an equation? An equation says that two things are equal. Equations have equal sides. So up until now, we've been working with expressions. Expressions do not have equal signs. Equations do. So that's that big difference between equations and expressions. So an equation says two things are equal. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's an equation. X plus 2 equals 6. That is also an equation. So remember, a variable just tells you that that's an unknown number. So if I was looking at this right here, X, what plus 2 would give me 6? What? 4. 4 plus 2 gives me 6, right? So X equals 4. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at it nice and easy, and then we're going to work up to some things that are a little bit harder. We solve equations to determine the value of the variable. So remember, a variable, like we just said, would be that letter, like X. It can be a letter, it can be a shape, it can be any of those things. So an example, like we talked about, would be X. It can be X, it can be V, it can be any letter of the alphabet. That would be considered a variable. To help us understand how to solve equations, we will use a bar model. A bar model uses rectangular bars to represent known and unknown quantities. Okay, so for those of you at home, para los que están en la casa, van a querer escribir este ejemplo. So it says, check out the example of an equation solved with the bar model. Hold on. Okay, so it says, consider the addition equation x plus 10 equals 15. So the equation states that for some value of x, the expression x plus 10 is equal to 15. This can be represented using a bar model. So this is what they did. They have x plus 10 equals 15. So they put x plus 10, and all together, this equals 15. So we already know we have 10, and we need to figure out what x is in order to make the whole thing 15. Just like with an area model, bar models can be decomposed. the expression x plus 10 can be decomposed into a part representing x and a part representing 10. The number 15 can be decomposed in a similar way. So, I did put plus up there. That's supposed to be an x. So do you guys remember decomposing? Can I get a show of hands of anyone that remembers that word decomposing? Okay, and that's fine. Decomposing is when you break up a number. So if I was going to take the number 15 and I'm going to decompose it or break it up into two numbers, I can say, what are two numbers that give me 15 when I add them together? 1 and what? 1 and 14. I could also do 2 and 13. I can also do 3 and 12. So that's just me breaking up that number into different numbers that add up to the same thing, okay? That's the same thing I'm doing with my bar model. And we're going to look at it a little bit closer in our next two examples. And if I move too fast at any point, please let me know. Okay, so it says complete the bar model for each. So you want to make sure that you have these in your notebook. So for those of you at home, you want to make sure both of these examples are in your notebook. You want to make sure they are both in your notebook. So let's go ahead and look at A. It says x plus 10 equals 17. Well, they're starting with a really easy one, right? What plus 10 would give me 17? 7, right? So this is how they set up their bar model. They put x and 10, okay? And this is how you guys are going to set up yours, even in your classwork today. So you want to make sure that you have the whole example written down. Then it breaks it up. That first piece equals the second piece. Because when we think of this, we want to think of it as a scale. So queremos pensar en los dos lados de la ecuación como un balance. Un lado significa lo mismo que el otro lado, lo que están escritos en diferentes maneras. So x plus 10 is the same thing as 17. So then they tell us just like that, x plus 10 is the same thing as 17. So I know that I have 10, but what else? 10 plus what gives me 17? And if I don't know off the top of my head, what could I do to figure that out? Do we have any ideas? I want you to think about it for a second. I want you to think about what you can put in there that would give you 17. 10 plus what gives you 17? Think about it. And if you can come up with something, write it down. Can I use my calculator to figure it out? Can I write out numbers that equal 17 to start figuring it out? And then think about it. If you put a number in, does it make sense? Does 10 plus whatever other number you put in give you 17? If it doesn't, then you have to try it again. Okay, so I saw the same number on most people's paper. Now, I want you to think about something else. If I have my calculator in front of me, right? 10 plus something gives me 17. If I were to take my calculator and say, well, 17 minus 10, what do I have left over? If I subtract 17 minus 10, it will give me 7. So I can go back and check. Does 7 plus 10 give me 17? Does it? You guys are way too quiet today. Does it? Yes, it does. So that means I'm right. That means I'm correct. I will be showing you another way to do it, but I'm not going to show you right this second. Okay, so let's look at the second one. We have x plus 6 equals 15. If I look back at my first bar model to give me an example, I know it's x and what should go in the second box? What's in the first part of my equation? What should go in my second box? 6 should go in my second box. Okay, so now it's x plus 6 together give me 15. So if I'm thinking about it as in decomposing, I know it's 6 and another number give me 15. I got to think about what other number could give me plus 16 give me 15. So I want you to think about that and write it on your paper. Nice. Good morning. Good. I saw on everybody's paper, 6 plus what gives me 15? 6 plus 9 gives me 15. Very good. So can I show you the second way to do this? Do we want to see it? Because maybe you like it better. So if I have x plus 6 equals 15, I'm going to put a little line down the center. And I would suggest in that little space that you have next to the bar model for this one, to write this down also so that you have it as an example. So just like I'm writing it near it, you can write it next to it. So we have x plus 6 equals 15. So when we did this, right, in our calculator, what were we able to do? 15 what? With 6 in order to figure out what our missing number was. Did we add it to 15 or did we subtract it from 15? We subtracted it from 15. We can't add it because that makes our number bigger, right? So that means I'm going to do the inverse. So I want to figure out what x is, so I have to get it by itself. I'm going to get rid of that 6, and I'm going to subtract it on the other side. So what is 6 minus 6? 0, right? So it just leaves that x by itself. And what is 15 minus 6? We said it was what? It was 9. So that means x equals 9. And it's just like how we figured it out down here on the bottom. This is just another way to do it. And now I tell you to write it down because as our problems get bigger, we're going to be using more of this and less of this. It says consider the equation 90 equals x plus 64. Notice how we went from really small numbers to really big numbers. That's going to happen. But it's the same process. You're going to be decomposing. The only difference is that you're decomposing with bigger numbers. So I want you to take a second on your computer and I want you to follow the examples that we did and complete your bar model. I'm just going to, I don't have my watch. I'm just going to give you a minute to work your way through it. Okay, good, Shaylin. Make sure that you follow your example. Okay, so I'm seeing this on a lot of papers and it's looking good. So remember that top box, you're putting X and then 64. Even though the equation is written backwards, it's still the same thing. That second box has X plus 64, and then I know I'm equaling to 90. Now, because I did not tell you this the first time, make sure on the bottom it matches up with the top. So if I put 64 in this box, I want to make sure I put 64 in this bottom box. That way I know X equals whatever I got in my second box. How can I decompose 90? 64 plus what gives me 90? Remember, you can use your calculator to solve for that missing number. What can I do? 64, 90, blank something to figure out what I can get. Good. Remember, you want to use the inverse operation. The equation says plus, we want to do the inverse. Remember, inverse means the opposite to find our answer. Okay, good. So I'm going to work it out the other way on the side, just so we can see it. So, okay, what am I doing here with 64? What's the inverse of addition? Subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 64 on both sides, because remember, I need to get X by itself. So this then turns to 0. And what is 90 minus 64? 26. And I saw it on everybody's screen. Good. So X equals 26. Can I erase? Are we good? Okay. Consider the equation 14 plus X equals 32. I want you to complete the bar model. Write the equation represented by the decomposed expression. So once you have your answer, you're just filling it in here and rewriting your equation. And then tell me what is the value of X. So you're going to fill in the whole screen. Start by filling in your bar model. About her fourth block. Remember, once you have A finished, you're moving on to B. I'm going to start it off for you because I feel like some people aren't sure. You're doing 14 plus whatever you got equals 32. And then for C, you're doing X equals whatever your answer was for X. That's all it's asking you for. You're rewriting the expression with the answer you found, and then you're telling me what is X. I just lost my 18. Good. So that means 14 plus 18 gives me 32. And x equals 18. So make sure you click submit on that screen. Okay, I want you to try this one. Make sure you're reading the equation very carefully before you start solving. Remember, it's x minus 17 now. So are you going to do 32 minus 17 to find your answer, or would you do something different? Remember, we're considering the inverse or the opposite. Okay, so think about it. Remember we said we're going to do inverse. So what's the opposite of subtraction? Okay, we will find out. Okay, so some of you got it, some of you are a little bit stuck. Okay, so remember, I need your eyes up here, even if you are not finished. Because the only way I can make sure you understand is if you're paying attention. Remember, this part goes here. So I have x and 17. I have x minus 17, and then I have 34. If you follow your example, this should be right every single time. This first three sections. Now, we talked about inverse. When I had x plus 2 equals 5, what did I do in order to figure out what x was? Did I add or did I subtract? I subtracted because subtraction is the inverse or the opposite of addition, right? Now I have subtraction. Does it make sense to still subtract? What is the inverse of subtraction? What is the opposite of subtraction? Addition. So I shouldn't still be adding, I should be subtracting. Because when this changes, what I do to find my solution changes. So in my calculator, I do, okay, so I know 17, I'm bringing 17 down. So I do 34 plus 17. And remember, whatever you do on one side, you do to the other. So x equals, what is 34 plus 17? I know you have it. What is it? 51. So my answer should be 51. X is 51. So those of you that are still subtracting, you have to pay attention to that sign. You have to do the inverse. That's why I like to show you the second way right next to it so you can see what we're doing. So go ahead and try the next one. X minus 25 equals 92. X minus 24 equals 92. Good, Jesus. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds if you're not already finished. Make sure if I've already come by and told you you did good that you click submit. Okay, so we have x and 25, x minus 25. Make sure you're writing it correctly. And we have 92. So again, I'm going to always write the other way to do it on the side because you guys are going to have to be doing this eventually. So what is the inverse of subtraction? It's what? Addition. So I'm adding 25 to both sides. What is 25 plus, what is negative 25 plus 25? Gives me 0. What is 92 plus 25? Thank you. 117. So I get 117. So I'm going to show you something real quick. And I want you to do something in your notebook for me. I want you to write this bar model down in your notebook because I want to show you how to check your answer. So quiero que escriban el ejemplo en su libreta. So para los que están en la casa van a escribir este ejemplo en su libreta porque voy a enseñarles cómo chequear su respuesta. Yair, you should be writing it down on that piece of paper. How to check. I'm going to show you how to check your answer. And checking your answers after you have solved and everything. For those of you at home, make sure you are writing this down. This is going to come in handy when we get, well now, and when we get to harder problems. If nothing else, my favorite part about equations is that I can go back and check, and if I get the answer wrong, then I know I can do it again. With other problems, there's no way for me to check to see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Oh, so if you go into the resources tab, you're going to see that it's super updated. I'm not done, but it's 10 times more updated than it was last week. I spent Thursday and Friday working on it. Okay, so are we ready for the check? Make sure you have that check right next to it. I have x minus 25 equals 92. Quickly. Those of you writing down this example, I need you to do it a little bit quicker. 117, so that means that's it. I get this one of that. I still see some people writing down the box model. If you're still writing down the box model, you are moving too slow. Where's everything? Because you can't know how to check if you don't have the answer. So you need to, on this side, write down how you do it. All of this. Okay. We said our answer was what? 117, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put x equals 117. So I'm going to fill in x with 117, and then I'm going to fill it in. Minus 25. And it's supposed to equal 92, right? Now, I'm bringing down that 92. Can you put in 117 minus 25 in your calculators? 117 minus 25 in your calculators. What does it give me? It gives me 92. Do my answers match? Yes or no? Yes, they do. So that means I'm right. If I plug in my answer to my equation and it does not match, that means I need to try again. Your classwork today is going to be just like this. Bar models. I give you an equation, you work it out in your bar model, and you write your solution. Can I erase? I don't remember. There shouldn't have been anything else. Oh, no, that's for tomorrow. Okay, so go ahead and switch over to your classwork for today.